Hello and welcome to zebracode.io, and we are in the solution sections of lesson 2, and we're going to choose a couple of the homework problems at random and solve those here in demos, so in case you're having any problems with the homework. The first problem we're going to look at here is 1b, and it is in parentheses 4 minus 2 times 3 minus 7. Next we'll look at 1c, and that's 2 times in parentheses 8 minus negative 3 plus 2 times, in parentheses, 4 plus 2, and then we'll finally look at 2a. Use the input command to prompt the user to enter a number, and then we'll print the number squared. We are going to solve these problems in the Windows environment. In order to launch the Windows environment, we can go to our Windows Start option here and type in CMD, and that allows us to start the command prompt, which is a desktop app. And now when we go ahead and launch the command prompt, we'll be to our familiar command line where we can actually input code. And we're going to start by typing in Python, and because I've only downloaded Python 3 in this environment, I'm just going to put Python. In some cases, if you have both, you'll have to put Python 3, and now I can see that I have my Python command prompt, and I can start entering the questions that we want to solve. So in parentheses 4 minus 2, I can solve that first. What's in parentheses? That gives me 2. Then I multiply that by 3, working left to right, and then minus 7. And I can guess at that, or I can try to calculate that. I'm going to get minus 1 when I do that, and when I actually hit enter, I can test that. If I had any questions, I should work on additional homework problems and try to get this right. Let's do the next problem. That starts off with 2 times, in parentheses, 8 minus a negative 3. So this is 8 minus a negative 3, so I can invert those, so that's going to be 8 plus 3 essentially. That's going to be 2 times 11s, or 22 there on the left side. On the right side, I now have plus 2 times, in parentheses. I want to do what's in the parentheses first. That's 4 plus 2, that's 6 times 2, it's 12. And so when I multiply, or when I add 22 plus 12, I can get 34. That's what my estimated calculation is. And I can just make these problems up at random too if I want to get additional practice. I hit the enter button, see if that's what I got. I did get 34, so that is correct. Next, we're going to do 2a, and the problem is to prompt the user to enter a number, and then I'm going to calculate the number squared. So I give first an input statement. Num is assigned the value of input, enter a number. So here I'm going to prompt the user to enter a number, and I'm going to store that number in a variable that I've called num, or num. So I'm going to enter 5 here, and I'm going to store that in num. Now the trick here is that, or it's not really a trick, that this is a string, so in order to do a calculation with this, I'm expecting it to be integers, so I need to convert it to an integer. So I'm going to create a new variable called sq. That's where I'm going to store my squared value. It's equal to int. So I'm going to take the int and convert this to an integer. Now I can actually do some numeric calculations. And then I'm going to do the same again times integer num. So that's the squared. And so now I have the value of these two numbers, or the square of these, or the number times the number, or 5 times 5, in the variable called sq. And I can do print sq, and I get the value 25. So that's the answer to problem 2a. So you can work on additional homework problems here and get very familiar with the Python command prompt and do calculations at the command prompt.